Hey fellas, and welcome back to With a Y, and I consider myself a lot of things, but one of the big ones is a writer of tweets, of 3-day late DMs, of excuses, all sorts of stuff. One thing I don't write, at least I haven't since I was in middle school, is fanfiction, but I still read plenty. Fanfic is just about like any other media you'll consume. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, and I'm very picky. Recently on Twitter though, there's been this trend where people are like, man, this fanfic shit is low-key easy, and then they just start sharing their works in progress. This is probably the best one. This fanfic shit is easy. Damn, dude, that is a nice-ass word. I know you're gonna have a really fun time learning HTML or whatever to make sure that archive of our own will actually show it up. The replies were a lot of fun because it was people just getting back-to-back versions of these tweets, and like most of the things we cover here, you'll start to see a pattern emerge. The main one was this: "I will kill you," Will declared. Hannibal shook his head sadly. "But I would like to suck your cock." If people didn't have like an original idea for their joke, they'd probably just take this one and then replace whatever characters with the fandom that they're in. The difference is, like, most of these names are completely generic if you're not in like these guys' Twitter circles where they like actively talk about all these characters that they're clearly hyperfixated on. Like this one came from, I'm pretty sure, the young Pope? Or Conclave, I don't remember which one. "I will kill myself," Pope John declared. Vincent shook his head sadly. "But I would like to suck your cock." You know, the typical stuff. The most standard pattern was guys saying, "I'm going to die in some way," and they get a response from somebody saying, "Okay, but can we have sex first?" At the same time that people are realizing that they are complete prodigies and can write fanfic like it's as easy as taking a breath, you had people who were struggling just as much to get words on a page. Right under this fanfic shit is easy as hell. "How the hell do you write smut?" He spread his legs and let out a horrid scream and shot a massive load. Delicious in italics. No capitalization though. And I think you should take that lesson to heart. Everybody has a different starting point when they're trying to learn a new skill. The only thing everybody has in common is that you will only get better by practicing. So no matter where you are starting off, you can always improve. Okay, this shit is just giving me flashbacks. "Are you ready for the Falcon?" Sam asks. "Yes! Yippee!" Bucky replies, jumping up and down with excitement. I feel like this is just always gonna happen. Whoever is like the mainline Captain America in the MCU is always just gonna get shipped with Bucky. It happened with Steve Rogers, and you know, at least those guys debuted at the same time. And then old Chris Evans Captain America gets old, dies, and then both gooners and just general shippers out there started rubbing their hands together when they saw there's a new Captain America, you say? And he debuted in a series alongside Bucky? Yeah, alright. "I will kill you," Batman declared. The Riddler shook his head sadly. "But I would like to suck your cock." Oh, this isn't the Riddler one I thought of. There was a clever one here. Here it is. This is the banger I was looking for. "What's the matter, Riddler?" Batman sneered. "Don't you have another riddle to tell me?" "I can't," the Riddler replied solemnly. The writer's too stupid to think of one. And this is like one of the oldest struggles of like anybody who makes anything ever. You have an idea. You even have like a really strong vision for it. Perhaps you've made some real progress towards actually making it a reality. You just don't have the skill or the smarts needed to actually execute it by the end, man. Okay, this one's just bars. This fanfic shit is easy. "The feared Magneto is approached by a group of trans femme mutants. 'Who are you?' Magneto yells. 'We're the X-Men,' Professor X says." Dude, this shit like happens all the fucking time. This is probably something that could have popped off on Twitter like without the fanfic shit is easy caption. You probably could have used less words, had to do less work by screenshotting this shit, and still gotten like plenty of Twitter likes. I don't know why this one disproportionately killed me for a fandom that I am not really in, and B, one that's so relatively simple. You think writing fanfic is easy? Henshin. I say that shit with the same inflection I say burger with. Like, it's really dumb. It's not even like truly comedy. It's just me having little tics, I guess. You know, this one would have gotten a rise out of that Quite guy because he just hates seeing anybody do any shipping with like that FNAF character other than if it's with him. Guy's weird. Not a problem for me because I'm completely straight on this channel. "It seems that the entity has summoned us both into a trial. I am ecstatic to kill these survivors with you," Springtrap said with a smug tone. You know the thing that's really pissing me off about how they're writing this fanfic is that it's center aligned, man. It's not a YouTube thumbnail, bro. Left align that shit. I'm an English speaker. I can't handle text going in ways that I'm not used to. Squeam. That does describe the thing I did when I read some of the less savory versions of this prompt or joke. One thing I've also noticed is that, like, the joke people have been doing about how they quote-unquote write fanfiction in a way that's easy is like the stereotype of what people think a Marvel writer is. The equivalent of somebody saying, "First we Delta and then we rude, and that's how chapter 7 is gonna go. I like you, Jack says to Pomni. You're funny. I like you too. I think bunnies are cute. I'm funny, and you're a bunny. Let's be funny buddy, Pomni replies. Yay. And that's just out of character, man. This guy said it right. Jax would never fucking say that shit. I felt like I was in like a place I was never really meant to stumble into when I found out that one of the posts I found was like a Formula 1 roleplay fantasy side of Twitter, and they were using like, I think not just the drivers themselves as personalities, but like the cars are alive. It's Cars fanfic with extra steps is what I'm trying to say. How we got here is a mystery to me, but I can't really do much to change it. You also had people living out their Dan and Phil days by 10 years on, writing something they probably also would have written like in 2015 when they were the most depressed teenager you'd ever seen. Mom knocks on my bedroom door. Wake up, I'm selling you, she says. I don't know how much of an insider baseball scenario this is, but a lot of like angsty teenagers, some who were like probably actually living like really shit lives, had really shit home lives. There is like this epidemic of Tumblr and Wattpad shit where like they would be writing fanfics about how like their parents were selling them and then they were going to live with Dan and Phil who were adopting them and were gonna take better care of them than their parents or some shit. I put my hair up in a messy bun, the messy bun. That's a classic, man. And walk downstairs. I am greeted by two British men. Fellow, it's nice to meet you, they say in unison. I can't read this without like starting to either cringe or like crack a stupid little grin of my own. Like this one, because we've already touched the territory of people doing these bits with like fan fiction about real people. But yeah, have you all seen those questions going around Twitter where it's like, would you let Oomph give you a hug? And then people reply with, I've let Oomphs come inside of me. Oomph just being a stand-in for like one of my friends or one of my followers on Twitter. It's like really terminally online shit. You don't need to worry about it too much. It's just funny in the context that people use it. Oomph, I whimpered. You and I, we can't be. Oomph shook their head sadly, but I would like to suck your clit. It's not really self-insert friendly, man. Like, I don't have a clitoris, but maybe I want to imagine myself in that situation. I'm not saying you can't write from the perspective of a self-insert that specifically has a clitoris, but A, I don't believe in those. They're just not real, so you're just making shit up. But also, like, you didn't tag your work for me to properly filter it out, dude. And I mean, it makes sense. Day one of being a fanfic writer, post-master's thesis submission? Guys, how am I doing? Terrible. Bro, learn how the fucking tags on this website work, man. You have a bright future ahead of you, but be careful of posting your work and protect yourself from plagiarism. It's a bigger problem than ever now with ChatGPT and whatever other data scrapers using them to train AI, man. It's tragic. I might need a mentor. I'm so young and naive and have just submitted my master's thesis. I have no experience in the big biz. Can you teach me every night? Oh, dude, I love running into just really fucking niche Twitter social interactions I never would have fucking seen if I didn't look up really random terms on Twitter for the sake of these videos. I can't believe this saw trap wants us to go crazy style on each other's pussies, Adam said. Lawrence unbuckled his belt. I can. Jigsaw the jigsawed. Yeah, and there's the real poetry in all this. If you choose to analyze this with enough layers of irony, you can circle it back around to being unironically good art. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just giving you the tools for if you want to lie to yourself. I'm not doing that for you. This one, I think we're getting like way too deep into insider baseball territory. Like, this has 1,000 likes, but it's probably making a reference to a specific thing in like Dan and Phil fandom that I just don't have the requisite knowledge for. And every month they buy a new hamster, and then they brought up the hat fic. Oh, okay, that is definitely a point of trauma for anybody who's been like a D&P guy for long enough. I feel like this next one is actually a pretty accurate summation of like what authors or anybody who is just trying to frantically write down an idea they got into Google Docs or like a notepad so like they don't forget it forever. Spam Tenefic. Okay, so basically they were like kissing, but it's kind of toxic here because they're like former business partners, so there's a power imbalance and they're still mad at one another, but it's like, yeah, and it was all miscommunication and they actually do love each other, and then also Tenna is borderline. That's the only other piece of information you're given to work with here, man. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. This is what we're gonna end on. I hope this one leaves you with psychic damage. Shh, Mr. President, Jeffrey said as he pulled Donald's pants down with his teeth, revealing his little Trumpy. Epstein grinned. Don't cry, Donald. It's okay. I've seen smaller. I want to blow my fucking brains out at the implication of that, man. Yeah, enough of that for me. That kwytebox email's in the description if you guys want to send me any video topics. Anyways, piss off.